Would figure we shut down a live stream and they go ahead and issue a warning. We have a severe thunderstorm warning, same storm that we've been watching for a while here, moving through Oktibbeha County, prompting a severe thunderstorm warning by the folks there at the National Weather Service in Jackson for Oktibbeha County in effect until 6:30 p.m. here, moving closer to the Adeton area as it moves toward the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. You can see a little rotation all the way from the Jackson radar site being detected here on Mama Justice Doppler radar. We'll go to the one site there out of Monroe County. Don't have that same rotation, but I think we still do have at least maybe some broad stuff going along with this here as well. Moving into the Starkville area. Hail and damaging wind, I'd say the main impacts with this thunderstorm. But again, broad rotation, not impossible. We certainly have it right now. So let's track this again. We'll go about 45 miles per hour. Gabe will check that speed for me behind the scenes here as well. But again, moving through Adeton pretty much as we speak. We'll look at a camera shot there here in a moment. We'll look at a number of camera shots. Gabe will also behind the scenes be looking at some of the Mississippi Department of Transportation cameras that he'll get up for us as well. So we'll look at that come up here in a minute. But the Waddell community about 5:59, again, moving through the western part of Starkville over the next few minutes. All these neighborhoods there, as you can see, over the first couple minutes of the 6 o'clock hour, those are all neighborhoods in and around the Starkville area. Lightning on the uptick on this. We check out our hail threat, again, brought to you by True Shield Roofing. A little bit of rotation, but that hail threat has kind of popped up in the last few minutes as well. So in the probable category, and when this says probable, that usually means we're talking about an inch to inch and a half sized hail on the highest end there. In fact, estimations on our threat tracker here, kind of our peak threats, we show this says maybe 3 inches of hail. That's probably pushing it. But what this has done, and this is what we kind of waited all day to happen and then naturally went off the air when it did it, is it's kind of attached itself to that boundary. And you can see how just even in the last 20 minutes when we were off, how things got a little bit more impressive there on this. Kind of the boundary crossed. Right, there's that rain cool there, the boundary right down there. And so this kind of close to where maybe that still is there as well. So hail threat continuing to increase on this. Look out of our camera there in the western part of Starkville in the Adeton area toward this here. And looking kind of into the heart of this. Again, severe thunderstorm warning there for locations in the Starkville area. Mom and dad, don't let your kid's car get hit by hail. I think the largest hail probably a little north of Starkville, but you might give the kids a call and make sure they're aware that, hey, some strong storms at least coming close to the Starkville area. And a reminder, that call doesn't have to come from you. It can come from me and my voice and Weather Call. It is a service that does have a little bit of a cost to it. But if a severe thunderstorm warning like this is issued, it will let people know, hey, there's a chance that there could be some damaging weather moving in your direction. So it does have a cost to it for severe thunderstorms, for tornadoes, as well as major flooding, all situations where, again, Weather Call will call you and let you know that bad weather is moving your direction for $15 a year. Again, you can sign up for more at msliveweather.com/weathercall. A camera here in the Starkville area. I'm going to pan this just a little bit here. So we're looking kind of southwest and west-southwest. I'm going to pan it down just to begin with here. And this is kind of that hail core sort of looking in. So I'm going to look more west and then northwest with this into the heart of that large hail that's going to try to fall. So as we kind of pan this back over to the right here, more toward kind of the west and northwest, you'll see kind of the most intense stuff there. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be looking through the tower to get the best angle at that. And sometimes that's the way it goes. So I'm going to go back west on this. Give me a moment to right about there. So again, large hail possible with this as it moves into and through the Starkville area at this time. And Gabe has a couple of MDOT cams there up in Starkville. And Gabe, kind of looking at that, people still on the roads. Looks like some more, not just weather calls, but mom and dad calls probably need to go out with some folks there in Starkville, right?
For sure, Matt. What I would say is I've not seen a ton of action in regards to the northbound lane there just west of Starkville. I think this is going to be primarily southbound lane, and so folks are traveling away from the storm, so at least there's that. But you don't need to be on the road in general in this setup, as those heavy downpours as well as some of those hailstones falling onto those vehicles. I mean, I've seen the damage that some of those hailstones can do. And so, you know, if it's up to that severe size, you can definitely see some dents there on the windshield, unfortunately, and we're hopeful that that's not the case. But Matt, this continues to move close to that Starkville area, which is a very populated spot here in North Mississippi.
It is, and I want to go back here, and you can see the area of rotation kind of picking up a little bit more on this here. this near Oakwood, watching. And I'm going to go back to our camera in Adeton here, which is kind of looking toward the front end of this. We're kind of looking through the rain now. So, man, I'm losing my visibility pretty much as we speak here, unfortunately. There we are, but that would be the spot we'd be watching. And unfortunately, we're back into the rain. So we don't have a good look at that anymore there. I'll see West Point is down. We're not going to have a great shot from Macon, but we'll have to take the Macon camera and point that back toward the west and into this as well. So give me a moment to kind of get a shot, kind of looking northwest. Yeah, we're looking probably the right direction there. Oops, looks like I pulled up Columbus on there instead. Let's look at Macon. And then, yeah, that's still too far a distance away to be able to see it very closely. So we're going to watch those MDOT cams. I see the one that's behind Gabe there. It's kind of gotten full of rain in the last moment here. Some broad rotation there, kind of moving into the Starkville area with this storm. The large hail is really kind of on the north side of this, moving toward Clay County. The severe thunderstorm warning, as you can see there, until 6:30 p.m. for the potential for large hail again with this, as it's kind of moving there through the north side of Starkville. So again, let's get another storm track here, and then we'll look three-dimensionally on this thunderstorm. It's probably some wind more on the south part of that there, and the speed on this about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So most locations it pulls up there are within the Starkville area. The hail is kind of on the north side of this, and we can bring back that what you see right there, so we can get kind of all the different spots. So that's kind of Midtown Starkville. I mean, all these locations, it says now. Cotton District there, of course, well known in the Starkville area. University Heights at 603, looking Magnolia Heights at 604 there. So moving through Starkville with some strong gusty winds. Gabe is watching all of the cameras there as well. And behind the scenes, one of the things that we are watching, I'm going to pull up one of those cameras here for a moment. It looks like, hold on, something happened on that screen there behind the scenes on what's going on. So I'm going to need you to minimize whatever happened there if you can, because I can't control what we're showing on that. So go ahead and do that if you can, Gabe, and we'll get that. There we are. Okay, we'll get this clicked into the right spot. And now we can bring up that camera there in okay, apparently it's just going to do that either way. So let's hit escape. Whatever that is, that now no longer works. Apologize. There we go. Let's go ahead and reset things here for a moment. It's 6:03. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather. Again, we're a 24/7 streaming service here and tracking a thunderstorm that is producing potential for some large hailstones moving into the Starkville area. We'll look 3D on this storm. The largest hail still kind of held up in the thunderstorm, and you can kind of see at this angle here how there is some rotation into it. This would be the updraft portion there. We kind of see the gap where there's not much precipitation over top of the Adeton area it's showing. That is where things are rotating up and into and kind of curling around the inside of this thunderstorm there. So there is some rotation to contend with, and definitely some large hail that's kind of overhanging this. But most of this is kind of sweeping in some gusty winds into and through Starkville, about to the university at this moment and time here. As you can see, obviously, Cotton District, it's at this instant. Wooddale community there, Oktibbeha Gardens, Avondale, all at this moment where this storm is moving through with some strong gusty winds. And again, when we look at the wind mode here, it is broad rotation. It's not strong rotation, but in this case, rotation, and maybe this has just been the case this week, the rotation pretty effective at trying to produce hail more than anything else. We kind of cut this down to the most intense hail. We do have some spots there where this is probably damaging hail still held up aloft, right? We see that light pink start to show up as that spot. We still do have a hail core, and that's mainly the north side of town as I kind of look both 2D and then 3D again at it. Just on the north side of town, moving more toward Rocky Hill. That's on a path that will take it toward the West Point area if it continues at this speed. So I'm going to make sure we have West Point that shows up on this track. So give me a second to kind of shrink the number of places. We show West Point at 617 and Caledonia at 647, still ahead of this. Doppler radar indicating hail and damaging winds possibly with this thunderstorm here. As I clear that off, again, we're going to widen things out just a little bit more. There's some additional thunderstorms that we're still tracking out there this solidly just from the lightning alone. As we talked about, a few times today, it's probably the most effective way for us to see exactly what is happening out of this. As I put it to where You can see our alerts and warnings. You can see our severe thunderstorm warning there, but you also see the lightning on here. And your eyes should always be drawn to the lightning. The most electric storms, the most turbulence, the most likely to have some issues there. Now, not quite in the path of this storm, the way I would describe where our Ethan Foster is down there in the Monroe County area. I want to kind of get a look from him here just for a moment. He's ahead of this. And the one thing, Ethan, I want to know about this is how warm does it feel out there in Monroe County? Because that kind of leads us to how unstable the atmosphere is or isn't.
Yeah, so going over my game notes right now, since we're sports most of the time, but weather today, that was one of the main things I was going to mention before we got on was the temperature change. So I gave a look out in Hamilton. It was about 85 degrees outside, so still pretty warm. Right now, if we check the Mississippi Live weather app, anywhere from 72 to 70 degrees here in Hamilton. So it actually feels pretty pleasant out here right now. I've got my camera propped up on the table here so you can kind of get a look at some of the clouds there. I also noticed kind of with what the radar was showing, the clouds kind of moving in a northeasterly direction. If I look off to my right to the east, the clouds look like they're moving north. If I look north, it kind of looks like they're moving east. So, they're kind of going that diagonal pattern. We did have kind of a little bit of an intense rain shower about 30 minutes ago. But right now it's nothing but just a few light drops here and there. So that's held off for the moment. But yeah, a lot colder now than it was just about an hour ago, Matt.
I appreciate that. That's our meteorologist. I'm going to make you meteorologist either way. That's our Ethan Foster there with sports, but also doing some weather for us today. Appreciate that, Ethan, on that report here. I'm going to bring in our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor. He's been monitoring some things here behind the scenes, again, posting, doing some Facebook stuff as well. What do you have back there on that picture behind you?
So this is pea-sized hail out of Adeton. I mean, they said marble, but marble, of course, not a uniform form of measurement. And so, I'll have to zoom in here, but you can see some of these individual stones that are showing up, and it looks to be smaller than a rock. So we're not talking more than pea size in measurement. So that's not going to amount to a ton, but that was over in Adeton in about the 5:55 hour. So the moment that severe thunderstorm warning did get issued. So I think that was the first hailstone starting to fall. Potentially some larger stones down the line, but nonetheless, that's still at least a confirmation that some of these stones are reaching all the way to the surface.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you in a second. I want to see some of those MDOT cams, if we could, there from in and around the Starkville area. Appreciate that. Our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor, again, looking at some of those hail reports. It was hard to see the pea-sized hail amongst all the rocks, so that's a sign that at least the hail is not too terribly strong at this point in time there. So we're tracking in Clayton Village right now. Bel-Air Estates there. In the Room to Room Weather Center, we're looking at that arriving for you at 6:12. Current time is 6:08. West Point 6:19 there. Tibby at 6:21. Vinton at 6:31 there. So strong gusty winds possible, but some hail out of this as well. Our True Shield hail swath tracker, it looks kind of where the hail has been the most likely. And you'll notice we go back west. And one of the spots it was likely to be the largest there near Adeton. If that was only pea-size hail, and maybe it got a little larger after that, that is a good sign. I hope it didn't get any larger after that. But if you have pictures to share with us, the easiest way to do that is using the Mississippi Live weather. If you have large hail pictures in excess of 1 inch in size, and you send in that picture and it's the largest hailstone, True Shield Roofing will be giving away a $100 Walmart gift card anytime we have that largest hailstone in excess of 1 inch in size during the day. They do that to make a bad day for someone a little bit less bad. So send in your pictures regardless using the Mississippi Live weather app. As you can see that track there as the storm moves northeastward. We look at the wind mode here. I don't show anything on this that's overly impressive on the latest scans here. While there's kind of some broad rotation, I would say what we had a minute ago is largely unwound. There was one spot right where that white line is there. That was a little bit concerned a minute ago. This be near the Northgate area. As Gabe has been kind of looking at some of the pictures here behind the scenes, I've been kind of looking over his shoulder at the same time as well. Again, this is on the west side of town where the heavy rainfall is kind of all right through. Looks like that camera's locked up. What about on the east side of town? Anything you're seeing there?
Well, I'm working to get some of that camera footage in. It seems to be struggling just a bit with getting that feedback to us, but this is Highway 25, and I'll say gusty conditions, 40, 50 miles an hour easily whenever this storm was immediately moving through, so gusty winds also attached to it. as well as some of that small hail and some more confirmation there with the North Mississippi storm chasers of about pea-sized hail showing up in Starkville as well. Working my way towards the east, I promise it will be up here soon, and I'll be able to give that report in just a few moments.
Okay, appreciate that. That's our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor, again reporting, tracking those showers and thunderstorms there, moving through the Oktibbeha County area. We'll look at one of those other cameras there in Oktibbeha County here in a minute. So I will say, I do think that there has been a downward trend on this somewhat. It's kind of spiked up. We have not had a lot of severe reports today. This one looks like it has spiked up. Might be going through a bit of a, see if it's going through a bit collapsing phase. Collapsing in this case would allow some of that larger hail to fall out of it. So we look 3D on it, pretty much look at it from the side like if you were looking on a camera from the side. And yeah, this is not as intense as it was a minute ago. Let's kind of cut back through it here. We get kind of the most intense part for a moment. Come on. So there we go. Shows some of that pink aloft. If I go back, it's right there, that little blip of pink, that's what I'm watching. Go back a couple of scans, you'll notice how there was a lot more of that showing up when it was back out there on the northwest side of Starkville. So I'd say on the northwest side of Starkville, that's where this likely dropped its biggest hail. I would say at this point here, it's probable that any severe hail has already fallen out of the thunderstorm there. So I would say well, in saying that though, there's an update on the positioning. So maybe near the Osborne community, south of Muldrow, north of Bel Air Estates, there's still little bits of pink again showing up there. This is all kind of overhanging aloft on this as that storm moves eastward and kind of out of some of those spots. Another way to look at this is using our camera there in the Macon area. Just kind of looking at that. We'll look at this for, again, out of Columbus and Caledonia in a minute as well. But this is looking from Macon northward into that line. The dark gray you see there, of course, that is the strongest part of that thunderstorm as we're looking kind of in a northerly and northwesterly direction. I'm panning this to the right, so maybe we get a better shot there. Again, right along US 80 or US 45 into that storm. Though we're looking through the tower there with our North Mississippi Storm Chasers camera, we are looking into some of that darker blues and the heavier rainfall and everything that goes along with it from that spot. Check out our camera in Adaton, which we were on a minute ago. It's kind of on the west side of Starkville, and we might have to flip this around. Double check. We are looking east, and that's just, you know, kind of looking into the darker gray and everything that we have there. So that's post rainfall. Nothing on that of significance that I'd say to show. Let's look in Caledonia then. And our Caledonia camera there, again, kind of looking in a northerly direction. So give me a second to switch this back around, as that was from last night where we have it there. We'll look back toward the west and southwest. Into it, and just kind of dark gray. That's all we're really seeing with that there. A little too far away from Caledonia to be able to have a good look at that storm at this point. And then still looking west in the Columbus area back into the heart of this. Heavy rainfall, some lightning, some gusty winds on the way. This camera in the lower left-hand part of the screen is the one we'll watch the most closely. But that's still on the horizon. They're still outside of town, and still a little time before it makes it into involved locations there in around the Columbus area. I see a picture behind, and Gabe, hopefully you're posting the pictures on my Facebook page as well. Let's look at that one. That's a rough looking shot there. Where's that at?
So this is, again, out of the Oktibbeha County area. Let me look at the name just to confirm it. So this would be South Oktibbeha from Dennis. And as you can see, of course, the low base right there, this is when the storm was beginning to intensify just a bit. And I'm curious, you know, this is out of Louisville looking towards Kosciuszko. It almost makes me think that this might be that same cell moving through earlier on in the day. But I mean, that's some insane looking clouds out there along that shelf with of the base of that storm. I mean, this is just, you know, it was an intense storm. It definitely intensified over the last couple of moments, and then now starting to enter a collapsing phase. But nonetheless, it was able to produce some of that pea-sized hail like we were talking about just a moment ago. And the National Weather Service down in Jackson actually requesting that any reports you have, go ahead and send them over so they can start to put that together so they know how to assess those warnings here moving forward with some of those returns that they're getting through their radar site. So doing a great job of that with our weather watchers up here in North Mississippi. I need to actually update the time here because I think this was just until 6:04. Now we're 6:14. Probably have a few more of those photos coming in, and so I'll work to get those up for you.
Yeah, if you hit 24 hours on that, it'll automatically update the time on that. If you just click last 24 hours, it automatically kind of brings it the current time.
Oh yeah, they're flooding in now. Do you want to see another hail picture?
Let me do one more track, and then we'll do some of those hail pictures here in just a second.
Okay.
So again, kind of updating you on locations here as I'll clear this off. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather. We're a 24/7 streaming service based out of the Tupelo, Mississippi area. We do weather coverage. That's what we do. We do a little sports. We will at some point here fairly soon do a little bit of news. But ultimately, we track storms. And hold on. We need to look at over here. Hold on. Let's get off of this for a second. I don't know how much more that's developing. We've done some storm tracks. But down here into Lowndes County, this is a storm that's approaching severe limits. Gabe, we'll go ahead and do a push specifically for Lowndes County on this here. You might circle them and push it over there for a second. But this is a storm there that's probably going to prompt the severe thunderstorm warning down here, Lakeover Estates, south part of the Columbus area. So Columbus kind of top of the screen there. The reason I could tell that is I just happen to have our radar in 3D mode, and there's some of that larger hail hiding above the surface, up around 3/4 of an inch in size, maybe approaching 1 inch in size there in Lowndes County. So that's what's kind of moving there in the direction of pretty much Lakeover Estates toward the northeast. Let's get kind of a motion on that. We'll make this a 30-minute loop. And you can see how this has kind of flared up with that in the last little bit, a couple of times, doing it again. So this moving toward McCrary. And for folks there along US 82 traveling there out of Lowndes County into Pickens County, Alabama, that one's trying to produce some large hail at this time and probably cross that roadway here in the next couple minutes. In fact, kind of based on the speed, which is going, let's double check this. Come on. The speed on this, I go 45 miles per hour. I can buy that. How long do we have before that crosses the road? I'd say that crosses the road no more than 3 minutes there on US 82. And then heading to where it'll be in Lamar County by about 10 minutes from now. So not officially a severe thunderstorm warning as it's exiting Lowndes County there, but certainly a storm that is trying to produce some hail and probably dropping whatever it is at this moment. Our severe thunderstorm that has prompted this warning in Oktibbeha County, about to exit Oktibbeha County, moving northeastward. Again, speed on this about 45 miles per hour or so. And so we show Mayhew at about 618 for you. We're on the south side of West Point. So that's like Waverly and some of these other locations on that list there. That's why we show up Waverly at about 731 there at the golf course. Looking closer to North Haven Woods there at 734. And a lot of these subdivisions there on kind of the north side of Columbus as well. So some gusty winds possible, large hail not an impossibility out of this as this storm kind of moves there, but definitely tracking the potential this could try to produce some damaging winds. But I'd say the hail potential on this is less than it was. Let's kind of walk back here a few minutes. We look for kind of these big blobs. See this big blob right there? Maybe it's not immediately obvious, but there kind of west of the Starkville area, this big blob that we're looking at there near Adeton, that is the one that, again, is kind of moving there toward Rocky Hill and Northgate and could potentially could have produced some large hail. If we bring it back to now, though, you notice how it's no longer on there, and we just have just a little bitty blob. So it's a sign that this probably weakened substantially more over the last few minutes here as it's moved northeastward. So I'm not sure if they're necessarily going to continue this severe thunderstorm warning. I'll bring Gabe in here for a moment. And Gabe, again, you have been, let's click it back over to the right browser here again, back onto the switcher. So as we'll bring Gabe in here for a second, Gabe, you've been looking at some of the pictures people have been sending in, right?
Yes, and so that's what I wanted to show you guys real quick is what the confirmed reports are there in Starkville. And as you can see, some small hail, again, no coin to measure it up against. I would say that's getting to dime-sized hail. That's a little bit higher than our pea-sized report just a moment ago. But the structure on this storm is just incredible. Let's go ahead and look at those shelf clouds, and I'm going to have to zoom things out here so you can get a better visual. But look at that incredible shelf cloud there along the leading edge of that Starkville storm. I mean, that's just incredible structure and shows that this was definitely a mature and strong thunderstorm. This shot right here, I just can't get over because we're moving, I believe that's either Highway 25 or Highway 12. I think that's the 12 exit. Caleb, if you want to correct me on that, you're the Starkville local. But it looks like the roundabout to get off of 82 onto 12. And there's your shelf that's moving right along that area, and you have Starkville that's basically right there. And so this entire storm moved over that northwest side of Starkville and started to make its way north onto the northern side of Oktibbeha County. And here's some more reports. I mean, you can see the rain on the windshield, but again, you get a look at that shelf. This is one of the more decent structures that we've had on these storms today, Matt. And it was pretty evident, you know, looking at this picture in particular. I know that's close to Highway 25 at that point, and that was what I was watching there on the MDOT camera, is just the torrential downpour and the onslaught of those winds. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked at all if there was some damage that came out of here with some of those severe gusts.
Possibly, you know, this is a shot here of one of the microbursts as described by the North Mississippi Storm Chasers there south of the West Point area. I think Timothy with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers with this shot here. So obviously some gusty winds possible out of the strongest of these storms as well. What other pictures have you gotten? Actually, let's go back to radar here for a moment, and then we'll look at some of the pictures as well. So you can kind of pull those up on your side of the screen while I'm doing this over here for a moment. I'll try get a new storm track on these, kind of assessing all three of them. But what other kind of shots do you have?
Well, I mean, just some more shots that are coming out of that same general area. Like, I would assume that all of these are Starkville. Actually, we can figure out where they're at before we even do anything and just pull up those photos there specifically in the Starkville area. So yeah, here's the Cotton District in Starkville. You get some of those low-lying clouds. That is going to be, so if we get the campus of MSU, we're talking more on the northwest side of campus. So again, kind of proving that it was taking a more northern track. Here's from the Highlands Plantation, former whereabouts of where I used to go to school, or I used to live out down there. So that's going to be on the east side of campus looking north. And so getting a good visual of that as it's north of 82 by that point. Did have a good visual. That was where we did get this report earlier on, but that's why I guess it wasn't, it's still a great picture, do not get me wrong, but it wasn't as close because it was more on the southern Oktibbeha County side, looking across campus, looking across across the land. And so unfortunately fortunately, I guess I should say, it wasn't as close, but still just incredible structure that you're able to view it from that far away. Yeah, all the hail reports. So I'm going to highlight those specific areas. All the hail reports are coming from right here, west of Starkville on Highway 82 from Self Creek to Center Grove. And so that's where we're getting the bulk of those hail reports. And I have not gotten any from the campus of MSU or from anywhere beyond, you know, this specific point right there. So I'm curious.
Let's add something here real quick. National Weather Service has gone ahead and they have allowed, well, I guess they've canceled that severe thunderstorm warning for Oktibbeha County. The storm has left Oktibbeha County, so they have canceled it. So kind of what you're seeing, have you had any severe level hail reports out of this so far?
No, this was the biggest hailstone. I'll have to go dig back for it, but I think it was this one. This was the biggest hailstone that we've gotten so far. And it's decent in size, but it's not severe. It's not 1 inch in diameter. I would say that's more like
do the zoom in, do the control, and then roll that middle mouse button there so we can get, there we go, get a size on that. And I'll pop it full screen here in a second. Caleb is almost done typing over there, so I can't. Hey Caleb, click into vMix for a second. I'm gonna pop Gabe full for just a second.
Caleb, do you mind clicking to vMix real quick? There you go. So yeah, this is the hailstone, and I'm going to use the hand measurement that we've had to use the past couple of events. I think I've gotten somewhat of a grasp on this. Again, not the best form of measurement, but I'm going to do what I can. So we usually say between these two fingers is about 1 inch, and that's measuring about 1/2 of an inch right there, based off that measurement. So 1/2 inch hailstones reaching its way to the surface, probably a little bit larger aloft, just melting as it makes its way down. And not saying it's out of the realm of possibilities that could have broken up once it reached the surface there on the west side of Starkville. So this is the hail that we've gotten. We also got another report earlier on of some smaller hailstones there in the rocks, and it wasn't incomparable to the size of the rocks. So that shows us that this was well below those severe thresholds of 1 inch or greater. It's a good thing, but it does show us that hail is still being produced. This is a mature thunderstorm, and if the hail is not enough for you, then any of these images of this just incredible shelf cloud that viewers are submitting down there in Starkville should tell the story. That is just, actually, while we're here, I think it's worthwhile to at least check outages and see if those are potentially going out. And that would be 4 County, I believe. Yeah, 4 County. I'll have to pull it up right here behind me. But I'm curious if there are any outages so far from some of those gusts, and I would not be shocked at all. So current power outages, where we stand. Okay, so not a ton being reported so far. So I'm curious if that number will climb entering into the next couple of minutes, but that was where we've seen some of those stronger wind gusts. Now, as we take a look at where we stand right now, There are a bulk of thunderstorms that are over there towards the Golden Triangle, and that's that unstable air mass still kind of feeding into these storms. Let me see right here. Something interesting. You do have this outflow that's developing there beyond that storm that was near Crawford, now moving towards eastern Lowndes County. You have this outflow potentially latching onto that one near Louisville, but I think it might be just out ahead of it. So hopefully that means that these are just going to be a couple of storms and nothing more than that. But as we saw just a moment ago, these can definitely intensify as we get further into the 6 and now almost 6:30 hour. So looking at these specific storms, I mean, those two stand out. I don't know if there's enough lift, though, to get those.
I think they're behind the outflow, if we're honest. Like, kind of looking at that, I think they're behind the outflow, or at least behind their own outflow. Like, you can have the initial wave with it, I think, was probably a little farther north. Like, if you watch the rain cooled air kind of progressing through this, right there, last couple scans, you can kind of see it right there. So that might have been the initial, but this has certainly enhanced it. All of that to say, everything back here, no more tornadoes, no more severe weather. We're almost done with any kind of severe weather threat at this point here across North Mississippi. The worst of this is in the rearview mirror. Now, on the wider shot here, there are plenty of thunderstorms still down there into southwest Mississippi, even tornado warning briefly there closer to the Natchez area, Alexandria, Louisiana, back out that direction that we're watching there. Back to the south. So down South Mississippi, still plenty of chance in central South Mississippi for what is still to come. But if you come up here to North Mississippi, and I'll kind of bring it back in here to our primary radar site, there's really only a couple that we're watching. And even the one here that prompted our severe thunderstorm warning moved through Starkville and moved north and east. That one has weakened a bit more in the last few minutes here. So we're going to take a brief break here and be back with more severe weather coverage as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center in 60 seconds.
Alert! It's a flash sale for 1 week only at Room to Room in 6 p.m. Saturday. Prices slash store-wide. Insert coupons, BOGO accessories, King for a Queen mattress deals, and special financing. These deals will be gone in a flash. Room to Room Tupelo.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon here. Let's kind of reset things here for a moment, looking kind of the overall picture. And again, we typically start off here with our Room to Room Weather Center and looking at kind of the overall headlines. Over the course of the next 12 hours, let's be clear, we are past the peak of severe weather. Most storms will not be severe going forward, and the coverage to storms will diminish over the course of the next couple of hours here. We'll go from 70 again at 7 p.m. to 60 by 10, 51 as we look toward around 1 o'clock in the morning, and low 40s by early tomorrow. In fact, we'll probably have some 30s out there to begin early morning on your Thursday. This front coming in, much cooler, much drier air behind it. We look at severe weather reports today. There just have not been nearly as many as yesterday. You can pretty clearly see where the yesterday reports are, all the hail reports, all the tornado reports. And while there's been some wind today, been even a tornado back there in southern Arkansas, and some reports down in Louisiana, we have been very fortunate that here across North Mississippi, we said this was going to be a bit of an uphill battle. We said there were some questions, and thankfully those questions have not realized any kind of meaningful severe weather outside of maybe a couple little reports. So hopefully that is a trend that continues. Kind of the brief overview look here at Futurecast shows the majority of the activity moving south and east and out of here over the next couple of hours. And as it does, we're left with cooler and drier air on the way for tomorrow and over the next couple of days. We're going to again look at that 24-hour forecast here over the next 24. And again, tomorrow from 42 in the morning, we're only 53 by noon, 59 as we head toward afternoon, and it will be likely mostly sunny skies. There will still be maybe some thunderstorms tonight, but tomorrow, nothing like that. We just move all the moisture out of here. Your Thursday's dry, your Friday's dry, your Saturday's dry. It's probably Sunday before we have our next chances coming up. In 60 seconds, another look at Mama Justice Doppler radar. In 60 seconds, we're also going to check in with our Ethan Foster there in Monroe County. We'll look eventually at some more rain chances, again, with our Futurecast and kind of walking through where the rotation is next couple of hours and looking toward that extended forecast. We do also have our SEC baseball forecast and game of the week forecast, all coming up here in 60 seconds. The Mississippi Live weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
Every legend starts somewhere.
Not with perfection, but with the decision.
The decision to show up, work harder, and believe this place can change everything.
At Northeast, you're more than just a number.
We're built on opportunity, and our students are willing to rise to the occasion.
Here, success isn't handed to you, it's earned.
You don't just leave with a degree, you leave as a legend.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
This portion of Mississippi Live weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lovhawn.
So again, I don't want to sell hype or anything like that. So let's be clear about what we do and what we do not have. At this point here, it would be highly unlikely for us to see tornadoes. And really, there's only a few spots where I can even make an argument that it's in the unlikely scenario something could happen. If you are back here in this area blue, and that's overwhelming majority of people that can watch us, we're going to use Gabe Maynard behind the scenes to do his best to write the words, all clear. Are you ready, Gabe? He's doing it on our touchscreen monitor back at the station. It's funny how we can do this cross the way and get it just right, but I want to be clear where we are all clear. And from most of us, we are all clear. The only spots where I can say maybe we are not is down here, southern Winston County, Noxubee County, Pickens County, Lamar County, maybe southern Oktibbeha or Lowndes County for hail. But our tornado threat at this point, it would take a miracle of the wrong kind for it to happen. It's not going to happen. So if you're watching us anywhere in this box that we drew on here, you are all clear. We're thankful that you're supporting us. We're thankful you're watching us. We're thankful that hopefully you'll support Exceed Technologies and all the folks that support us here, like Mom and sponsoring our Doppler radar here. But at this point, you've probably seen enough of me and Gabe and Maggie and Caleb and Ethan today that you're not going to hurt my feelings if you shut it off. All right? And you move on with your day. Because I think if you're in this all clear zone, we're past the worst of this. Now, we are going to still kind of keep checking on what's going on there to kind of give you an example of all clear. That would be one of those, our Ethan Foster down there in the Monroe County area. As he's got his arms crossed, looks like you're getting a little cool, right?
Yeah, Matt, it is a little bit cold out here. I was just checking and it says that it's 68 degrees out here. So that's a pretty dramatic drop from 85 degrees not that long ago all the way down to 68. But clearly it's dry enough for me to be standing outside. No overhang coming over my head. I had a special guest that wanted to come and join the broadcast. Oh, he's going to check it out on me. Come on. No, it's fine. So I told you earlier that one of our friends was coming to hang out with us tonight and ride out the storms just in case they got a little scarier than we expected them to be. But now it looks like that boundary line has kind of dropped down lower past Columbus, according to what we've been talking about. So the plans are still on. We're just going to have a good hangout, and he's going to hang in and watch the rest of it tonight with us. But like I said, thankful that it's not as bad as some people were thinking it might be. So still just a good night to spend some time with friends and be warm inside as the temperature continues to drop.
You know, one of the things you mentioned there, and we've debated on how to describe this, you know, with so much storm anxiety that people have, you know, there's this idea that maybe togetherness is the way around that, to take a negative social experience and turn it into a positive one. And so this idea of maybe not storm parties per se, but the idea that we get together and we shelter together and we turn it into something positive. That, hey, if there's storms, if it's bad, okay, great, we deal with what we need to do. And if it's not, then we just play, you know, games or we do whatever we do, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, Matt, is a lot of people probably know this, and you definitely know this, that when there's a tornado or severe weather or anything of the nature, there are certain steps you follow to try and stay as safe as possible. You can follow those steps whether you're scared, whether you're happy, whether you're emotional, whether you've had the best day or the worst day. So whether you're alone or not, you're probably going to be taking those same steps. So in this case, why not find some friends, find some family members that live close if you can, and why not be together through something that may or may not turn out the way that you want it to or don't want it to, right?
Absolutely. I agree with that. That's our Ethan Foster there in Monroe County. Thank you so much for taking the time. Go spend your time with your lovely wife and your friends. I think we're done for the evening talking with you, if that's all right. Appreciate that, Ethan. You know, colder air kind of moving in from the north and west here. That is the story. We kind of had the initial outflow of rain-cooled air. That's why it's just a little bit. Ethan mentioned a moment ago with the 60s that we have in place there here across North Mississippi. It's kind of mid-60s versus upper 60s to 70s to 80s up ahead of this. But the coldest air back out toward northwest Arkansas, still a ways behind. We'll start tapping into this, but the true cold front kind of split into difference somewhere in between there as well. The thing that limited our overall intensity of storms, moisture mixed down, and that's one of the factors that helped us. The drier air is up there as well, but it is the less humid air and the fact that we still do have some more of that instability getting more focused. Part of the reason why central and south Mississippi, for folks from outside the area that might be watching us here on Mississippi Live Weather, that's where our most significant risk comes from the remainder of this evening. Tornado risk, primarily south. That chance if we were to see a significant or strong tornado, also south. The damaging wind risk with this, also south. And you could cut out more of us in North Mississippi. The latest advisory just hasn't come out on this. Next one will cut more locations out of this. But if we're going to see some damaging wind threat, primarily south of us, and that, again, is where we're most likely to see some of the hail threat. But even then, that's more limited on our true shield hail threat than what it has been at other points in the last week. So let's look at the day planner for your Thursday. After starting off 41, and that is a wind chill temperature in the morning. I'm going to have to kind of enable that as we go. So we'll kind of pop the graphic around a little bit to do that. But tomorrow morning, wind chills probably down in the lower 30s some spots to begin the day. We're 53 by noon and 59 as we head toward the afternoon time period. More on that in a minute. But looking at storm rotation here, that kind of animated all the way through. So I'm going to go ahead and replay that again for you for a moment as I bring it back in here. And again, focus on that one more time. You can see how we don't have any additional. This does, look at that. That does have one try to come up from the south. Let's stop and look at that and basically disprove that is what the purpose of what we're about to do is. Because I think that is aggressive is a kind way to put it. Okay, so on the wide shot here, notice how this does not have much activity back in here, but it has this line fill in over the next 2 hours. When a model is kind of warm starting, that tends to happen. That is not going to fill in, and the idea the model's looking, it's like, well, if that fills in that fast, it's going to get strong. That's probably not going to happen. So I think that if we're going to get some strong rotation tracks like this, it's a little south of us. I am really concerned with the fact on what this did with some of these really strong ones down there closer to Crystal Springs and Jackson. There have been some tornadoes back into Louisiana with this, so not impossible to get one of those out of it. But in general, expecting that, again, I think to be overdoing the overall threat for storms and in particular severe thunderstorms for tonight. So low temperatures on your early Thursday morning expect to be upper 30s, low 40s. Normal this time you're 43. So this is what we typically would expect. So we shouldn't be shocked to see it. But wind chill temperatures, it is still early March. And I cannot wait for my daughter to go outside tomorrow morning barefoot, because that's what she does. And she'll be like, Dad, it's real cold this morning. Yes, it is. She's not listening. Nobody listens to me in this house. But anyway, low 30s out there for wind chill temperatures near the Tennessee state line. Mid 30s around Tupelo. Upper 30s down for Starkville. And about 38 degrees, that wind chill temperature in Macon. A really chilly start to your early morning on your Thursday. Now, our futurecast here shows all the active weather moving east and out of here. High pressure is kind of building in. That is the story. And this is more than anything bringing in drier air. And so that drier and cooler air settles in, clears us out, takes all the moisture away. And if you can bear it, and we can, it's going to be it's going to be kind of a chilly day. But with the crystal clear blue skies, it's going to be a really pretty day looking out the windows. It's been one of those days you look out, you're like, oh, that's the clear weather I've been hoping for. And then, of course, it comes at the cost of being fairly chilly. So how cool are we talking about for highs? We expect that high temperatures on your Thursday, probably only upper to maybe middle 50s. Come on, Clarksdale, we're showing 56, Tunica 56 degrees. We should be 65. So this isn't excessively cold. It's below our normal, but by less than 10 degrees. That just shows how above normal we were with the around 80-degree temperatures that we had for highs today and have had the last couple of days. As we go into your Thursday night, again, mostly clear skies. We'll widen things out. One thing that's kind of the question mark here is just how exactly clear are we? We have high pressure, again, close to us, but we have some clouds that build in from the north. And this is about the only thing that really saves us from being even colder for early Friday morning, this little bank of clouds. Now, it's not super thick. It's mainly mid and high level clouds, so that doesn't have a really impressive insulating effect, but it could conceivably kind of keep us milder for early Friday morning than we otherwise would be. In saying that, we're still probably frost territory. Look at these temperatures. We're down to about 37 in Tupelo, 38. We show Boonville 39 for Corinth. The only reason we're a little bit milder up here near the Tennessee state line is just because of that little bit of cloud cover, maybe insulating you slightly better. So probably overplaying that hand on the mildness factor for early Friday morning. It would be a cool start to the day. And looking at wind chill temperatures for Friday morning, those similar to tomorrow morning. The difference is the winds should be calmer early Friday. As we look at Friday through the day on Futurecast, again, a weak front trying to move in. No impact with this as far as any precipitation is concerned. Just kind of a little uptick there on cloud cover. More than anything, it's just even drier air. That's what that other H behind this indicates. Drier air moving in from the north and west behind this. And so we keep it mostly clear and then obviously mostly dry on your Friday as a result. High temperatures Friday. Again, a little milder, but we're 69 in Tupelo, 71 degrees in Houston, 73 Eupora, 72 Kosciuszko, and 70 for Greenwood, Belzona, 68 in the Greenville area, above our 30-year average of 66 for this time of the year. Let's talk baseball. And again, our game of the week presented by Casey Law. It is East Union making the trip to Boonville there. First pitch temperature, 63. We're 54 by the fourth inning, 51 degrees by the conclusion of that game under what should be mostly clear skies. I would say it definitely qualifies as some jacket weather for that. As we look at your 7-day forecast here, we're going 69 by Friday, 76 by Saturday. So we warm back up pretty quickly. But look at the lows. The fact that those don't get super high, super quick is a sign that we keep the air a little bit less humid. More thunderstorms possible by the weekend. And then we dry things out and cool things off even more next week. We're 50 for Monday. We're 30 for the low on Tuesday. Probably some 20s out there. So back to below freezing. So for those gardeners, yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. Don't do it. I know you probably already have, if you're anything like my wife. But drier and cooler air on multiple occasions over the next week is the big weather sortie. Now, coming up here in 60 seconds, we're going to look at your SEC baseball forecast. We'll look at some of your reports. We're getting the latest updates here on Mama Justice Doppler radar, as well as Mississippi Live Weather continues from the Room to Room Weather Center in 60 seconds.
I have been going to Tupelo Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem, and that's why I love Tupelo Smiles.
Look at Wanda, ready to rock her big presentation. But first, lunch. Sweet Pepper's Deli. Delicious, celebratory, but is it quick? The Cobb salad. Tender oven-roasted chicken, topped with cheese. Prepared, plated, and served? In 6 minutes? Is this for real? Well, of course. Well done, Wanda. Sweet Pepper's Deli. Yes, ma'am. Life is sweet.
If we check out your SEC baseball forecast presented by Carl Hogan Toyota, again, the game, Fayetteville, Arkansas, there for the folks at Mississippi State making the trip over there. apparently, Gabe, when we designed our graphic, I didn't expect to have a city as long as the word Fayetteville, which is silly considering the entire block there is big enough. Write that on our to fix list for the night. But anyway, the forecast for this weekend, Friday expected to be upper 60s for the highs that day, 75 Saturday, 71 for Sunday. So some limited rain chances there, possibly impacting that Sunday game. And again, appreciate the good folks at Carl Hogan Toyota for sponsoring our SEC baseball forecast. And Ole Miss going out to take on UT there in Austin. 66 first pitch temperature or high temperature there in Austin on your Friday. 73 Saturday, 75 Sunday. It's always a good weekend to make your way to Austin, Texas. I put Austin, Mississippi on there. Ooh, I bet that might have messed up the graphic. I didn't pay attention. Hold on. Let me fix it. Just a second on that. Oops. I messed that all up. Gabe, while I'm fixing that, we'll come back to that in a second. I'm going to let you look at some of the pictures and other things that you have been kind of aggregating behind the scenes here, because obviously it has been a pretty active afternoon for that, right?
That is for sure. And one of the things that stand out is actually a lightning strike over there in the Adeton community. I'm going to have to check on the name on this. This was TJ in Adeton, so showing that hail, not the only thing to worry about with these storms. Some of those lightning strikes reaching all the way to the surface, causing those rumbles, and unfortunately stripping some trees of their bark. So that's what they're seeing out there in Adeton. More of that shelf cloud still showing up. This was all the way from Columbus, and you can get a visual right there of that moving through. This was the steel plant. Oh, what was the name of that? I'm going to find it. Steel Dynamics. There we go. And
Steel Dynamics. I was just 1 second behind you. Go ahead.
Oh man, we could have, yeah. Well, Steel Dynamics, there you go. And this was also a look outside of Walmart in Starkville. Let me say, I've always left Walmart over there in Starkville with a smile on my face, knowing that the groceries were there. I don't think a smile would be on my face one bit driving out of Walmart and seeing that cloud there in the distance. So this was Alexandria, and big thank you to all of our weather watchers submitting those pictures out in the field, still getting those coming in. So please make sure to continue to send them over. We appreciate that, appreciate those reports, and praying that the only damage is that tree and the only damage is just a couple of hailstones, because we can power through that. It's the larger damage that becomes more of a concern, which so far is at zero. Knock on wood that continues.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Appreciate that, Gabe. Our meteorologist, Gabe Maynard, there reporting. Here's what I was going to show you before the break, our Carl Hogan Toyota SEC baseball forecast. Oh, Texas doing Texas things. Is that... See, now I'm wondering again, like, that seems warm. That can't be right, Gabe. Is that right? Hold on. Let's go double box on this. Gabe, what does that look?
Disgusting. That is disgusting. That's what that forecast is. 90s?
That can't be right.
Hang on.
Hold on.
We'll now cast behind the scenes altogether. I'm just going to change it to one of our long range models, and this will give us an idea.
Come over here. Go look at this here for a second. Make sure that should be set for, right? I mean, this is set for the weekend, right?
Should be. I haven't changed it.
So it's set for local time when played. How did we have that set up?
Just point forecasted and then coded?
Double check that. That can't be right.
Oh, hang on. Let's go to Sunday. Well.
Oh, it is? God, Texas doing Texas things. Look at that monitor behind Gabe Maynard.
Parts of Mexico. This is GFS. So GFS is one of our long-range models, but the fact that it's even hinting at 90s means that upper 80s, low 90s, whatever, it's still going to be warm, and it's still going to be a hot forecast. So if you're heading out there to Austin, Texas, while we expect it to be a great game on the ball field, you might be dripping in sweat by the end of that game, because I know Sunday first pitches are during the peak of the heating in the afternoon. Welcome back, summer. Can we say that in late winter?
Texas gonna Texas. Even when I was in Texas, it didn't happen that often. That's pretty hot, all things considered there. That's interesting.
You just made me never want to show that SEC baseball forecast again, because it just scares me.
Well, I looked at it, I was like, there's we broke that thing. Nope, that's right. So there you go. Texas going to Texas. Hey, you know what's also going to do its thing? Mom adjusted Doppler radar. And let's take a look at that as we're watching a few thunderstorms out there. Latest track near the Bethlehem and Millport community. Kennedy is 651 for you. There's some heavy rainfall. This has gotten a little bit stronger. I'm going to check our hail potential on this from True Shield Roofing. Again, looking at instantaneous hail, I don't have a lot of that. Most of what we have on there was from some of those storms a little bit ago that we tracked earlier. But Yeah, that shows near Ashcraft Corner, about 6:59 there. We're looking at P Ridge at about 7:28, and then kind of out of that area at that point in time. But again, going back to the rainfall mode on this, that's a lot of heavy rainfall with that. Maybe a little bit of gusty wind. You know, if I look for rotation on it, there's a little notch, but that's not in the right spot for all of that to be concerning. So heavy, yes. Severe, not necessarily the case, but certainly worth watching. And, you know, we do have that Mississippi Live weather app, and the reason we always bring that up is the interactive radar on there. You can actually kind of look at that at the same time the stream at the top is going from time to time as well. So free and available for all those different devices. Let's go ahead and bring up our chat with you guys behind the scenes here to kind of see everything you guys are talking about. See everyone at 10 o'clock. Appreciate that. Markella's.
Wait, Matt, before we go to 10, Caleb is up on a live drive.
Is he? Well, let's take Caleb's shot there. That answers that question on where Caleb was going to be here for a moment. So we'll bring up Caleb's shot. He is on our Mississippi Live drive out there in the rain. I'm assuming this is I-22 heading eastbound. Is that right, Caleb?
Yes, I'm on I-22 heading east towards Fulton right now. So just left Tupelo, maybe been on the road for around 10 minutes. And all I can really talk about is rain picking up a little bit more the closer I get towards Fulton. But also one thing I want to notice is that it's not as windy as it was kind of earlier with stuff blowing on through, as kind of feeling the car shake. Can't really tell. So just more of some rain showers kind of moving on through, those stratus clouds just blanketing everywhere you look. So just kind of a muggy, overcast, rainy conditions on the way from Fulton right now.
Okay, I appreciate that. That's our Caleb Bettelblut again, tracking those storms there in the Fulton area. Appreciate that so much. Be safe. Thank you for the long day. I see the signal going in and out, so I'll let you go after that so you can go ahead and shut up. But I appreciate that. That's our Caleb Bettelblut there in the Itawamba County area heading toward Fulton along I-22 at this point. We're going to check rotation on this whole batch here, which again continues to kind of diminish in intensity, and I think we'll probably end up kind of shutting down our live stream here in just a moment, unless Gabe has some objections to that. In fact, Gabe, I'll let you kind of track some of these storms out here for a minute. I'm going to check a few things behind the scenes before we do that here for a moment. And if you want to go over to the chroma key for that, I don't know if the computer's open over there where you can track it. I'll let you give me a thumbs up if that's the case. But our heaviest is the one here close to the port. It's pretty much right on the boundary. It's the only one that has really kind of any rotation. And luckily that rotation is not particularly strong at this time. So only a couple spots on the leading edge where maybe we see a little bit of that. So again, Kennedy, heaviest part for you over top of you right now. And we're going to extend that eastward on this track at about 40 miles per hour, which eventually gets it up closer to Fayette. And Gabe, again, kind of looking at that there, that storm, one of the last ones that we're tracking still at this time as these continue to weaken for the most part.
So I did it for a reason this time. My mic came up. Well, my mic came up whenever we were talking to Caleb, and I had a fan blowing on me behind the scenes because here in the Room to Room Weather Center, it might be 91 degrees here at times.
So here's what we do, but I need you to, rather than turn it off on your body, turn it off on the switcher.
Okay.
If you turn it off on the switcher each time, that way next time it switches to you, it'll be on your body.
Okay. Well, I do it and I always think I'm going to remember.
I
never do.
Let me just tell you, after 20 years of doing this, you will remember 5% of the time. And that 5% is just dumb luck. Maybe you were holding the microphone. That's the only reason you'll remember. You're never going to remember.
Well, I was trying to save a few folks from hearing some of those gusty winds by the fan. So, yeah, that's what we're tracking right now. A few of those gustier conditions down there towards Pickens County and Noxubee County, but this is a remaining threat that is continuing to clear on out. And honestly, I feel like a large part of these storms are about to collapse as well due to the fact that we're starting to get that outflow boundary out ahead of these individual cells. So once we get that pulling away, of course, that limits our potential as well. So let me actually, I'm going to look at how that boundary has kind of, yep, so there you go. So watch this boundary, and we're going to put this on a loop real quick, and it's 5 minutes the lowest it'll go. 5 minutes is the lowest. We're going to make it work. So watch how this boundary continues to progress right through these individual cells from Reform all the way out there towards Soligent, or not Soligent, that's too far north, but the Columbus area where it's starting and then moving off there towards Reform and Carrollton. You see how it interacts with these individual cells? That basically causes those to start to flare up, and that's where we were getting kind of an intensification as we went over the past 30, 45 minutes or so. Well, now that boundary is way out ahead of those individual cells. So I don't really expect this to intensify these cells on that leading edge towards Reform and just outside of Carrollton, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if we get some more individual development as it moves closer to Sugarlock, towards Aliceville, and locations close to there. So that's really where I would say is my heightened focus, is kind of where that boundary is feeding into and how that might develop a few more cells. We're not talking severe cells, but we are talking about some potential rumbles. So let's clear this off here real quick, and let's go ahead and assess where we currently stand. So as Matt was mentioning, that leading cell right there, the one that's kind of producing that outflow, is the one that we're continuing to watch. And some of those peak threats still showing a decent hail return. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we're getting maybe some pea to dime-sized hailstones maybe reaching the surface, but even then, that might be a little bit more of a stretch than anything else. And if we look at that hail swath, yeah, a few of those actually coming back as possible. So that does show there is some potential with this storm. And as we put it on that 1 hour loop and have it track all the way through, it's not been overly impressive, but it's at least tried to intensify just a bit along that boundary. But nonetheless, still a ways away from it being severe. And if we look at those strikes, as strikes are kind of a good way to tell the maturity of a storm, we're about 90 strikes. And that is still on the uptick, so I'm curious to see how that'll progress more into Tuscaloosa County, more into actually just north of there. I forget, is that Fayette County, I think, towards Alabama? And yeah, so that's moving just towards the northeast part, and we just tracked that a moment ago. More cells back behind it. This one right along Highway 14 stands out, and I'm going to put it on the latest loop so that way we can kind of assess that latest track. And as we move this, again, about 45 miles an hour, I'm going to go in the heart of that cell, drawing that out towards Pickensville and Archer. And I might have to expand things out to get that 45 miles an hour. There we go. And let me actually draw this back just a bit to only do a couple of cities. Oh, that might have taken it back too much. You know what? It's good enough. We'll have this one. So Bethlehem, closer to 704. We're talking the Palmetto area. This is going to be Palmetto over in Alabama. That's 712, Reform 712, Zion 724, Fairview 730, New Hope 739. Again, that's over towards Alabama. And the Salem community closer to 753. Now that's one of the cells that we're watching. What's up?
Oh, no. We're coming up on 7 o'clock. Go ahead.
Oh, I got you.
We're coming up on. Yeah, so I figured probably to wrap things up close to 7 o'clock, but go ahead.
I didn't even realize it was almost 7 o'clock. My word.
And we've lost some time today, haven't we?
Well, it's kind of a good time to kind of wrap things up because, we've been tracking this threat all day long from morning now till the late night hours when that sun's starting to set, and that's where the last of those showers are beginning to work on out. But I will say, I know we have folks that watch down south for what's happening, and that's where I do expect things to start ticking up, and potentially some of that tornadic threat as well. So folks down there towards Meridian, I would say keep watching this forecast because we do expect things to maybe intensify down further south in the Magnolia State.
Absolutely. Some of the spots we're looking down here, Crystal Springs back south of Jackson. Yeah, maybe a slightly better chance. Yeah, someone they're at the reservoir there down Ross Burnett Reservoir. They're concerned. What is their threat tonight? I would say you're in the all clear, and that's pretty much what the next couple of minutes here before we wrap up is about. It's about all clears. The only spot I'm even kind of watching in our area is Noxubee County, and that one storm, again, right on the leading edge there is the only one, and it would take something pretty substantial at this point. Now, in central and south Mississippi, more concerns, but I'd say really everyone north and west of Jackson there, we're also in the all clear. So if we can do our kind of final big all clear of this evening, and that does not mean that we're done watching, that just might be we're done talking for a little bit. And so kind of draw this on here. Are all clear, I would solidly say, is every place north and west of this. So Gabe, if you will telestrate for me, we'll do it in nice big letters here. Are all clear, stretching from Nacogdoches all the way up there to Corinth. So I'll let you plot that on the map there. So all clear in the nice big letters to say that all these folks are done. So all. You can tell which one of the members of the team here has the best handwriting. It's Maggie, obviously. But, Gabe comes in second. Well, I know. Gabe might make an argument that he's first. So all of these folks, we are all clear. So if you're watching us, even outside the area, I know
before you go, I just want to say, I wrote the prayer request on Sunday, and so one of my proudest moments ever.
That everyone understood what you wrote?
Yes, because I had the whiteboard responsibility, and there was so much pressure because our usual person was out, and so I had to fill the role, and that's big shoes to fill for the prayer request.
That is. Well, I'm glad that you nailed that down. I had no doubt that you have that ability there. And I will show this, one other thing that's kind of important, which is the fact that we do have watches down in central and south Mississippi. It does include tornado watches. We have not really talked much about those today because we have not really had those today. So I'm going to bring this and I'll show kind of all of our warnings and alerts here. The spots in blue, those are locations under the tornado watch. They come as far north as Kemper County. Technically, we cut off up here one county north of that in Noxubee County. So everything, unfortunately, we have blue on there for tornado watches, but everything in this darkest blue north and west, we are all clear. If you're one of the folks watching us, that's it. We're done. If you're south and east of this, we're definitely going to still have some issues as we go throughout this evening. Maybe not definitely, but we have the potential to have some issues throughout this evening. Dana wanting to know where we send pictures. That is a great question. The place to send pictures is using the Mississippi Live Weather app. If you have large hail in particular that you would like to share with us, you can share that using the app for Android devices, for iOS, and all the rest. There's going to be a couple things pop on the screen here for a moment. My name key. And then, of course, our sponsor, Room to Room, that sponsors our Weather Center, have been with us since back in July when we launched. And about a week and a half in is when they joined us here at Mississippi Live Weather, and we've been very fortunate that they've been amazing partners. Support Room to Room, Mama Justice, all of these other people that support us here in Mississippi Live Weather. It's the only way in which we can guarantee that this stays free and that we can keep doing this because, no offense, Gabe Maynard cost me a little bit of money. He's a little too talented. He doesn't do this out of the goodness of his heart. I got to pay him a salary. Not a big salary. And listen, Gabe could have made more money going someplace else. I want to be clear about that. He had opportunities to make more money, but he was wanting to invest in this community. That's the same thing with Maggie, same thing with Ethan, same thing with everybody. I could have made more money leaving here as well, but we did this because it's important. We believe in the connection that we have with you in the community, and we believe this region deserves top-tier severe weather coverage, and so that's why we're here. So I see Janice behind the scenes saying, so I take it Greenwood's all clear? Absolutely. Greenwood, Greenville, Starkville, Aberdeen, Tupelo, Jackson, Yazoo City, Louisville, Columbus, Soligent, Hamilton, both Mississippi and Alabama, Fulton, Oxford, Water Valley, and everybody in between. We're all clear. We're still watching for you in Macon. You're right on the edge. And you know Reform, we still got a little more time. Noxubee and Pickens County, it almost takes forever to get out of there. But we're watching it through there. If you'd like to send in your pictures, do it using our iOS. You know, you'd think one of these days I've learned to point directly below my head when it's below my head. And then Android apps. As I bring it back over here and go back to our chat, make sure to take the time to download our device for Roku, for iOS, for Apple TV. We will have a Fire Stick app. I promise, promise, promise. It is coming. But yeah. So the question is, what's the plan for extending to the rest of Mississippi? We're not doing that in the near term. Frankly, because it's just the four of us on the meteorology front. If we expand to, say, 5 or 6, then that's something we can do. But as you've seen a lot of me talking, a lot of Gabe and everybody else talking today, it turns into very, very long days. I want to make sure that we're giving you top-tier coverage. And the only way I can guarantee that is if we keep our coverage area a little bit smaller. So at some point, now if we're on and we're looking at, like, we might have, a major tornado, okay, I can say that that's something we're going to try to do. We'll probably have some expansion that goes on, but we just have to make sure that we do it the best way possible. But we appreciate all of our sponsors. I mentioned Exceed a few times tonight, Mama Justice, North Mississippi Health Systems, First Choice Bank, so many different people that have partnered with us here on Mississippi Live Weather, and without their help, we would not be able to do what we are doing here. So one last look here at Mama Justice Doppler radar, and just kind of continuing to watch some of these showers here Macon back toward around Carrollton. Just a quick comment here real quick. Hey, Leo, I'm still live for a minute at least. But I think my son, who does not do quiet very well, hasn't seen a whole lot of me today, so I'll probably have to wrap this up here in just a second. Strongest storm actually in the area is this one near Ashcraft Corner, moving south of Fayette there. We'll get a quick track on that here for a moment. And again, appreciate all the folks out here in Fayette County. I know that some of y'all do watch us here. Again, not a severe thunderstorm, but this one with some hail, obviously some lightning, some gusty winds. Looking at the True Shield hail track on that. Still has had some hail from time to time kicking out, so not impossible to get some of that there. So again, Bankston at 7.2, moving toward the north and east. Back to the rainfall mode. The storm behind that for reform, behind our outflow. That's what this rain-cooled area is right there. This is where things are stabilized, and everything behind that not going to be producing tornadoes. Maybe a little bit of hail, but lightning's not particularly high on that. And then looking toward Meshulaville here, we'll give you a storm track on that storm as that moves eastward. But again, this one is below severe limits as well. This will be kind of our final track, hopefully, final track here of the night. Moving toward Carrollton eventually. This is just moderate rainfall. This is below severe limits, but it's making in the making by about 7:15 if it continues that pace. The counties in blue are tornado watch, meaning ingredients are in place that could lead to the development of a tornado. But I would definitely say that for you, that is probably not what we are contending with on this. I think that this storm is weak enough that that is a non-case. But severe weather chances do continue back down into central and south Mississippi, including some rotating thunderstorms like what we have there closer, moving toward the Brookhaven area near Bude as well. Looking at wind on there, there are some spots where there is some rotation, and I'll give you kind of a wide shot track on this here, and then we're going to kind of shut things down here. This is the zone where damaging wind in particular becomes more of a factor as we go into tonight. I'll say eastward close to 50 miles per hour, and that I'm just spitballing that number there. That might end up being a little bit too fast with that. So that's why we want to kind of concentrate on some folks down south that might be able to do a slightly better job with this. But again, Bude at 7:16 there, 7:25 Liberty, Brookhaven about 7:38 to 7:40 or so. And if that continued eastward, say about 100 miles, go all the way there, pretty much past, let's go past Hattiesburg. Let's make that a longer track. There we go. We take that then, Laurel, by about 9 o'clock or so, give or take, 10 o'clock or so, the Millery there in Thomasville, heading eastward. Again, our next broadcast will be coming up here at 10 p.m. in the Room to Room Weather Center. Send in your pictures. Gabe will be going through, no shortage of those. We appreciate you for supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather. Sorry it's been a long day. Thank Lord Jesus, we have not had storms that were stronger. And obviously pray for those folks down south still in the path of storms tonight. We'll watch things. We see something major, we'll come back on and take care of that. But keep it here for the latest.
When C.K. Little opened his doors in downtown Corinth nearly 80 years ago, his plan was simple: deliver excellent service and exceed expectations. That's why we say a little gift goes a long way.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.